welcome, guys, to a very special edition of RLG CAST Retrospective, brand new episode. We're going to talk about, a classic of ours that we loved in our childhood. Welcome to everyone here: JohnnyDonuts, Puttyman, Campos.
Oh, I'm here.
We are all here.
Yeah.
Loving you guys for joining me on this one. We're here to talk about this sucker right here. Right there.
Holy crap, he's got the VHS.
VHS, man.
I have
the
picture. I think it's
Wasn't
right
it
there.
Wasn't it FHE that put that out? FHE, I think it was called. Something like that. That was
When
where
you're
it was.
saying FHE does not sound like you're saying FHE.
Well,
So
on the
let's
half
not
shell,
talk
they are
about
the
it
Heroes
anymore.
4.
Yeah.
In this day and age, who can ask for more?
Yeah. Let's go.
I mean, we're here to talk about that. 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, released March 30th, 1990, with a budget of $13.5 million, box office $202 million, with a runtime of 93 minutes. Special movie in our hearts from our childhood. And I just want to start off, right off the bat, for you guys, what makes this the classic that it is?
Can I can you give me those stats for what was the total? It made 202 million.
Mm-hmm.
The box office,
yeah,
$202 million with a budget of 13.5.
JD, can you get Timmy to figure out what that is in today's dollars?
Okay.
$13 million budget and 202 million in profits, while Putty tells us about his first experience of why this movie's special or whatever.
Good lord. Do you guys want me to get started?
I want you to give the 1 minute version.
Okay, well, let's just put it this way. I wore out 3 VHSs. I have the movie memorized back to front to where I can literally recite it right now, and I watched it last night twice, and I still have that in my bones. I know all the deleted scenes. I know every single backyard writing about it, and I even know the actors, the martial artists that played in it, the suits, and literally it was like my childhood. Like I would sit there and play with action figures while watching this movie on constant rotation, and it was the best part of both the cartoon and the comic book made by Mirage. And to this day, there has not been one TMNT movie that has topped this movie in my eyes.
Except the new one, which is a lot better.
Not even that in my eyes.
So Timmy's got the numbers for you.
Okay, give us those numbers.
$13 million today would be the equivalent of a budget of $31.5 million.
That's still ridiculous.
Okay.
Yep.
It costs like $26 million to make a Nora.
$202 million today would be the equivalent of $491 million. So we're talking $500 million equivalent.
Yeah, that's pretty good for mind you, it was such a huge property. I'm surprised it only made that much.
Yeah. And we're talking only 6 years after the comic came out, because the comics were 1984.
That's true.
And like I said, the cartoon never even focused barely anything about the comic books. They even changed the some of the origins when it comes to Splinter and everything. Like they changed a lot, and it still became a success because they wanted to make sure they made it for kids, because the original comic is ultra violent. People don't realize
they ain't no neutrinos in the comic books.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
This movie, I'll tell you why this movie's a classic. Okay, because it did what it did its own way. It took more notes from a movie like Batman and stayed closer to the comic book origin of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, because the movie was pretty dark at some points.
Eastman and Laird were very involved with this, so I could see it. But it holds up more because of the way it went. Like, I still think the second one is a good movie. I just think that that one was like them realizing, let's try to make more money by selling it to the kids, because clearly this one is not for the kids.
Yeah, I'll jump in and say
because the cartoon was just to sell toys.
Yeah,
I'll jump in and tell you that. The thing is, the writer said this.
There was a straight up murder scene.
Yeah.
Right. Well. See, the writer that wrote this, he wrote the second movie. He said they cut his script so badly. He had so much stuff for the fans that were darker toned, but he had to cut it down. That's why you don't see any of the scenes that what they're using their weapons. That's cut out and everything because they were trying to make it more kid friendly because they felt the first one wasn't.
Yeah, but
the
they
second
also
one
make it. Sorry, they also
sorry,
made it shorter because they had to cut a lot of stuff out because of the budget. Over half of the money, half of the budget went to the actual costumes, and they had to cut a lot of scenes out of the movie. Supposedly, there was like a Michelangelo story arc that was totally cut from the film.
It's actually, if we're going to talk about this, it's actually not really cut from the film. A lot of it is repurposed. They just changed those Michelangelo scenes that they had already filmed because, like he said, a lot of it is cut, isn't filmed, but all the stuff they did film, they just changed it to Raph. So the turtle on the roof screaming Splinter is really Michelangelo. The turtle in the barn punching the punching bag is really Michelangelo.
Yep.
And they've just edited it to be Raph.
Absolutely.
Well, there was even scenes cut out because Todd talked about this, and he didn't know that they actually still had the scenes in there. If you remember the farm scene where they're doing the fighting training, well, there's supposed to be this whole montage where they're both turning their bandanas around and blinding their eyes. And what happens if you look at that scene, you actually see Mikey's the only one at one point has this bandana turn around. And the writer didn't even know they actually put that scene in there because he thought they took the whole scene out, and he didn't realize that chunk right there was part of that scene that he wrote that was initially put back in. And that happened a lot in some of these movies.
Well, the original idea was that scene was supposed to take place after their meeting with Splinter because Splinter was supposed to teach him like a last lesson, and that was part of the training. So that was part of the montage. And then after they mastered that art, that's when they went back to the city to fight the Foot Clan. But even in Shredder's introduction, there was a scene that was cut out with him fighting members of the Foot Clan. They filmed
sitting on the ground. Yeah, you can find it online. He's sitting on the ground. But I will say this, I'm glad they did, because he's sitting on the ground. That's why they roll out the mats. And he starts fighting 3 or 4 of the Foot Clan while he's sitting down, fending them off. And I will admit, when you look at the scene, you can find it online, it does look a little bit awkward. And I feel like the presentation they did set up with him walking in is way more heavy, or maybe has more of impact than showing that, because he's a badass. So you don't need really show him doing something like that when he's sitting on the ground, because it looks kind of awkward.
Yeah.
I mean, even Judith Hogue, I believe she came out saying that it was kind of violent as well. So I don't know if that was the reason why she didn't come back for the second one, but she had mentioned that as well about this movie as well, which, when you go back and watch it,
it is pretty vicious,
pretty violent.
Yeah.
I actually prefer the newer April in the second and third movie.
I agree.
Yeah, Paige Turco.
Yeah, Paige Turco.
Well, another thing they said too is with prime example. There's a scene where Tatsu gets really bad and starts beating people up in the locker room. You notice the guy on the ground. They go to check him. They actually made them say that line, saying, "Are you okay?" to make sure he's alive. That guy's supposed to be dead. He's not actually supposed to be alive, but they actually added that line in there just so parents would be like, "No, you're showing death in this movie," and anything like that, because apparently it was becoming really graphic and some of the things they were trying to do.
Well, I mean, it's a great thing that it was a really good story, and a lot of people were emotionally attached to it and all that stuff, because when you go back and watch it, the editing was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Shall we talk about the farmhouse scene where you see the actor's teeth inside Donatello's mouth?
That's the most famous one.
I think they came up with a name for it. It's called Creepy Face on YouTube.
There's another scene, if you didn't catch it, and Caps, you might be talking about this one too. The scene where they're following April to her room, you'll notice Donatello comes up first, and he's just peeking up. But then all of a sudden, they do the part where she's like, "All I got is frozen pizza." He's like, "Let's go for it." That Michelangelo pops up, and then you see Michelangelo stand there, and then now Donatello's popping up. So there was an edit there they cut where Donatello was supposed to pop up before, or they were supposed to have Michelangelo pop up and not show that Donatello scene. So you can see a lot of those edits that are kind of broken when you watch it.
Well, there's actually one more when I don't know if you guys recall when Leonardo and Raphael are arguing.
I know exactly.
And there's like a stagehand like right at the table, like there's like blatantly like right there. You can see it.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're there.
But shout out to Jim Henson's Creature Workshop that did such a great job on those costumes.
Wasn't this Jim Henson's last movie he was actually involved with before he passed away too? Yeah, so this was his last one too.
Yeah,
which definitely gives this movie gravitas because it was such a great movie for it to be his last one. It feels
I'm like a big Jim Henson guy, as you can see by the Kermit the Frog over there. I have Kermit over there. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog.
We just got banned.
Why? Well, we never really got a special release with a director's commentary, except apparently one came out or was released in like Germany that has all these sort of extra scenes and all this stuff, and he talks in detail, things that were left out of the film. And it's, you know what, they're just reminding me right now, like things that were left out of the film that were in the trailer. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys saw the trailer where the shells came up, and that was left out of the movie.
Well, actually, I don't know if it did because I did not listen to the commentary, but there was commentary on the Blu-ray special edition. It looks like a pizza box, and when you open up each one of the movies, it was all the three movies and TMNT, and they all look like pizzas that are in a pizza box. But that had commentary on them, I'm pretty sure. So
it did. And Anthony has that. He would have wanted to be on this episode, but I know he's busy. He has that box.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that's the only one that had the commentary on there. But that was I unfortunately tried to get it later on. It's way too expensive. I
have the 3-pack Blu-ray thing where it's just like the three of them in the one box.
Yeah, that's what I've got. And but like I said, there was a lot that were mistakes in this movie. But the thing is unless you're like us, a hardcore fan, you sit there and watch it religiously, you don't notice it right away, which is a good thing, you know what I mean? But like these simple things come in, but it doesn't ruin the movie. It's more, it gives it a special like a special thing, like you said, a meme, this and that. And what I loved about it was when they carried it on, they at least kept some great things, like Ernie Reyes Jr. Remember, he played Raphael in the first movie. He ended up being a Kino in the second movie. So this definitely had some great moments that that kept it going. But I feel like, especially, I can't wait till we do the anniversary for the second movie, because there's a lot I got to tell you that they apparently took out that was amazing. That would have been amazing, but at least I feel like this movie didn't cut out as much as 2 did, and I think that's because they were letting them have a little more freedom because they felt like this wasn't going to do it.
There were plans. I don't know where you're directing this conversation, Caps, but there were plans for the sequel to come right off of this one and be in the same vein where it would follow the comic books where they use those worms to bring back Shredder. I don't know if it's from Dimension X, but there's those worms that they just need your DNA and then they turn into you. And in the comics, there's the giant Shredder, like the Super Shredder. There's the four-arm Shredder, and then there's regular Shredder. They finally get one that's like normal. And that was going to be the story, but they thought worms was too weird.
Yeah, well, the original.
But instead, they went with Tokum and Razor.
I know.
Yeah, instead we got Shredder back anyways somehow that nobody knows how he came back. He got crushed by a garbage truck.
Well,
by Casey Jones.
Well, Todd Legend said in the second movie, I guess I know we're talking about the first movie, but people don't know that in the writing they took this scene out, or they didn't even make the scene. But the scientist was Jordan Perry, I think his name was in the second movie, the scientist. He actually was supposed to be at the end. He got he does one last vial, and he said in that scene, he said it was going to be such an epic moment. Right at the end, he puts the vial there in another room. It's the last one, and then he lifts up his shirt, his coat, and his stomach is open, and Krang is there. And they said they took that whole scene out of that movie because they said, you know what, this is just going to be too weird. And I'm like, the movie's already kind of weird. Why is it you felt that was weird? That would have made fans go nuts.
Like Quado in Total Recall.
Yeah, like that would have been amazing. Mind. That would have been amazing, and fans would have freaked out. And that's why I feel like it's a weird thing where like they still went to a weird side, but they went to the weird side. They felt we need to keep this grounded. Kids are going to be freaked out by a brain inside a human stomach. But it's like, but the first movie, you don't realize that was what made that movie great, was because it it did what we loved and everything, and didn't try to hold back from what makes, because it's grown Ninja Turtles. I mean, how are you going to not be weird in the first place?
Isn't the company also a different name? Isn't it like TCRI?
Yeah, it's TGRI in the second movie, and then it's TCR thing, and even the channel. If in this movie, if you notice, in the comic book and the cartoon, she's channel 5. This is channel 3.
Yeah.
So they changed that as well when it came to this movie. There was a lot of little tiny changes they did here and there and everything. Like, I'm trying to think of another one that I had in my head earlier, but yeah, there was a lot in there.
I mean, you guys talked about, like, I just want to talk about Ernie Reyes Jr. for a little bit, but they actually filmed a scene with him in the first movie as a gang member, but they actually cut it out from the film.
Who's this? Sorry,
Ernie Reyes Jr.
Ernie Reyes Jr. Yeah.
I know we talked about the budget and all that stuff, and this movie is a classic, no matter what. But
we did get a young Sam Rockwell in this movie.
Oh, you ruined my moment.
Yeah. I was waiting for someone to bring it up, and he doesn't even have a name. He was called like Head Thug. That's exactly what he was called. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but did you know Skeet Ulrich and Scott Wolf were also in this?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yep.
What was Sam Rockwell's line in this film? We are family.
We are family, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's when Casey's like, you call this family?
Yeah.
By the way, Casey Jones is the best part of this movie.
Oh my God, Elias Koteas did an amazing job of this, and I still to this day, whenever I think of Casey Jones, I'm like, no one else can play it like him in my eyes.
It's between this and Erotica. That's his best role. Erotica. Is that what it was called?
Who plays cricket?
So that movie's really good.
Crumpet, we can understand cricket.
Yeah,
anyway, yeah.
It's funny how you guys brought up Elias, but there actually is a video out there on YouTube with him talking to a fan, and the fan's talking to him, and then Elias, who looked uncomfortable talking to this guy, but engaged with him anyway, went ahead and asked us, like, so what was your favorite out of all the Ninja Turtle movies? The guy goes, part 2. And then Elias looks at him and says, I wasn't in that one, right?
That's literally the only one he's not in there. And it's funny. They really made, and that's funny. The Casey in the third movie, I'll be honest with you, that whole movie sucks. But like, he's the only part of that movie I actually like. His humor in that was the only thing I could say that actually was enjoyable. But it was brief. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was
really
barely
short.
anything. Yeah,
he is Canadian too. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, from Quebec. Quick.
All my favorite actors are Canadian. I'm noticing.
Yeah, I just want to bring up this question to you guys. We talk about the budget and a lot of the stuff, a lot of storylines being cut from the film. It's a classic, but do you feel like the budget kind of limited to it being an all-time classic with in your eyes? I don't know. Just wondering.
No. Also, I'd like to correct myself. It's Exotica, not Erotica.
Yeah.
And no, I don't think more budget would have done anything here, because if you look at the quality of what they got out of it, especially like what they had to edit it down to, because I'm sure it was meant to be a longer movie, but
it would have been over 2 hours.
The suits were falling apart, so they had to they were running out of budget, right? So they had to get rid of a lot of the moments. I don't see it seeing what Batman was at its budget point. I don't think this could have been any better, even if you had more budget. It might have just been a longer movie. I don't know if it would have been a better movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, in this kind of movie, when it comes to different Batman, you're looking at more things that, I don't want to say cinematic, but more because you got vehicles, you have things like that involved.
It's showpieces.
Exactly. The only thing I could see that might have been an interesting thing, but again, this might have been pushing it a little too far, would maybe doing the whole thing with the garbage truck they did later on into a turtle van. But that would still be weird, because even these characters, when you watch them, they're not propping them as characters and trying to show themselves off in that way. Especially because I like the little things, like with Raph wearing the trench coat and hiding from stuff. I like when he goes to the critters, the movie, which he's like, what do they think of the, how do they come to these things?
Cricket bat?
Yeah, well, that was afterwards, but yeah. But anyway, my point to the thing is I feel like because it has a lower budget, they weren't focused on, we need to get big names in here. And so, of course, they hit drops, they make a joke about Harrison Ford and all that kind of stuff. But it's still one of those things where I feel like the lower budget gives it better charm. I feel like that
that's what I was going to say. The lower budget makes this film more endearing.
Yeah,
in terms of,
I mean, there's a lot of things they had to do, right? Like you talked about the editing, but I think the editing was as really good, considering the stuff they had to cut away from, the scenes at the end with Splinter, where it's literally just a puppet on a stick, and they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do with it.
Voiced by Kevin Clash, the voice of Elmo.
There you go. Yep. And stuff like that. Like I think a really interesting moment for me, and I don't know how it speaks to you guys, but it feels completely segregated from the way the rest of the movie is. And as a kid, I always used to watch it, and it didn't feel like I was watching Ninja Turtles. It felt like dark and like scary kind of. It's that opening sequence where it's like people walking and it's cut with all that noise and it's like to the news and it's like showing the crime happening. And the kid steals the money out. It's the news and the kid steals the money. And it felt like really dark. Like I was watching a horror movie.
It's like the opening of one of those 80s cop films or something.
Yeah, like a really dark one where like it's like investigating murders or something, right? And it
Unsolved mysteries.
Well, that feels the same way too later on when you have when they have the scene where all the kids are playing, and it's where they show where Danny goes to admit where
you got kids like blatantly smoking cigarettes.
Yeah,
and drinking.
And I mean,
but that's what we did.
That was the 80s, man.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what made that, because the thing is I noticed too when I went back, because I watched it online my digital version, and I noticed a lot of the ratings were talking about how this would not fly nowadays, seeing kids being in this drug crime oriented thing and then being targeted for kids. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why the cartoons, they changed foot soldiers to machines and robots.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't use their weapons in the later seasons. They're not called ninjas in a few countries. Stuff like that.
Yeah,
Hero Turtles in the UK.
Listen, you know who we have to blame for all of that? Putty's people, crazy Southern Americans, just fully invested in the Bible that were like, this violence is murdering my kids.
I'm gonna put it out there. I didn't move to North Carolina until the 2000s. So I was not
you're
in the
deep
South.
in it. This movie was very much filmed in North Carolina as well, which says a lot.
But I wasn't there at the time. I was in Indiana, so I wasn't part of that culture. Even though I wish I was here, because I would love to have been one of those kids in that scene. I would have gone.
They wouldn't have hired you.
No, they wouldn't.
I would have been a great little fat kid playing narc in the background. Like
they would have just hired you to be like one of the turtle stand-ins.
I would have done it. I would have done it in a heartbeat.
You would have been
Putty's just a piece of pizza.
Yeah,
I would say like you have to eat 20 of these pizzas. They'd be like,
by the way, that scene is added at the end because they said the movie was too dark. So like, okay, we'll brighten it up with this one scene where the pizza hits him in the head and he's like, wow, what does he say?
Well, give him where he's like slice and dice and
wait, is that in the middle of the movie or at the end?
No, that's the beginning. That's the beginning. That's when
they bring April down.
Okay, but what's the joke Splinter makes at the end of the movie?
Oh, I've always liked the word cowabunga.
There.
Yeah, he's like
when they're trying to figure out a catchphrase.
Well, I mean, there was also another scene that was cut out of the film where they brought the idea to like a comic book company, and they were like, "Oh, we have this idea for a comic book, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles," and that was cut out of the film as well. So that kind of brightened it up. That could have brightened it up, but
it doesn't need brightening up. It needed to be darker.
Exactly.
And that was, I think, that was a conscious decision by the director. What's his name? Steve Barron, I believe his name is. He made a conscious decision to keep it dark, and I think the production company wanted him to lighten it up, but he said no.
If you did the first movie the way that they did it, okay, but you left out the stuff at April's, or is the stuff at April's in the second movie?
Like in her apartment?
In her apartment. It's the first movie, right?
It's the first movie. Yeah. With the fire and everything.
Okay, if you did the story of the first movie, but you left that out, okay, and then in the second movie, now that all of this stuff has happened, the turtles people know about them. Now they're on the run. You have most of the second movie take place where they're in April's house, and this happens in the I don't remember if it happens in the comics, but it happens for sure in the animated series where April gets fed up with them being in her house. She wants them to go. So now they have to go find a new lair, and you do that, and then they find you can have them find that new station that they're in part 3. And I think that would have been a growth moment for the characters. It would have been development that they needed. You could have kept the tone darker, because I think if you did that storyline, with them having to find a new home and them being pushed out and like people hunting them, everyone's looking for them. It gives you a layer of darkness and growth, and then having Kevin Nash Super Shredder come in, but in a dark form where it wasn't like
sweet.
It wasn't like as happy as the movie is.
Yeah,
I think you had a potential for the second movie, even if you kept basically the same story.
Yeah,
to make it a really strong movie, and I think there's this movie at points does feel like it's rushed. It's still a good movie, but
you made a good point. With Todd said this because again, I'm so glad that he let us ask these like really, because a lot of people are just like asking general questions, but he made me happy so I can get to those like gritty questions. And he said it himself. He said the reason 2 didn't go so dark is because the original script he had, which I wish I could have got a copy of that. The original script he had, he said there were darker tones, but the companies wanted to have more of the cartoon involved. So Toka and Razor were supposed to be Bebop and Rocksteady, but they said, well, we can't do that because of the way they look and everything. It wouldn't look.
But it's also rights.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. And so, but then, like I said, then he wrote in the Crane thing, but they didn't want to do the Dimension X thing. So he said, well, like we could do it at the end and make it a big reveal, and it'd be great to set up the 3rd movie. But then they scrapped everything because when the first movie came out, a lot of kids were watching and imitating the sword fights, and it was more because of the direct-to-video thing, because a lot of kids were seeing it at home and wanted to imitate those scenes. So then they like that first scene was totally different than you see in the actual movie in the actual script. So they had to change everything, but they still wanted to keep the whole TGRI and all that kind of stuff because they wanted to lead into the mutant gen for Bebop and Rocksteady, but then also leave the element of like, why is this ooze on Earth in the first place? And that's why Krang would have been involved, because he brought the ooze on Earth. But the problem is everyone, again, there was the parents just like, oh, it's too violent for our kids. And it totally switched the charm of that second movie. And we ended up getting Vanilla Ice. And I'm just saying, you know,
go Ninja,
that's a wicked song.
Yeah, no, and I enjoy it, but I mean, but you can have this song because I mean, we didn't have TURTLE Power by what was it? Power. They're called Power Knights. I can't remember the name of the artist, or something Power. But TRT Turtle Power, the song, that was a great song. You could have done the same thing with Go Ninja, but why did you have to put it in the actual, like, have him on stage dancing? It was too much trying to appeal to kids that were loving
just like the silliness with some of the scenes with Tokar and Razor is like when they go to Shredder, mama.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, there was a lot of adding and adjusting the script. And Todd said that's the reason why he never wrote for the 3rd one, because he said that once the second one was done, he was so mad by how they messed up his script that he said they asked him, "You want to come and do a 3rd one?" He said, "I'm not gonna be involved in this one." And well, look what happened when he wasn't involved. It became even worse.
What's up, Caps? You look like you're gonna say something.
No. I mean, you guys were saying some great stuff, and you know, you guys mentioned it, like the soundtrack. I mean,
yeah.
Turtle Power, everything. Like, it's just, you know, we have the guitar solos, you know, the da da da, just sets a mood.
There's a pretty good score in the movie.
Yeah,
it's funny. And it's funny too, because at the end you hear when they say, "All right, April, all right, Casey," when they're making out, they go 9.95. There's an actual song on the soundtrack called 9.95, and you hear it in the end credits. It's the last song at the end credits. They actually play the song. It's really hilarious. So, but it was a great soundtrack. That second soundtrack did not top the first one in my eyes.
I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. This kind of started in like the 30-year anniversary. I think somebody on YouTube started this channel called the Old Turtle Den.
I watch him all the time.
Dude, he's uploaded all the deleted scenes, and I think he had an interview with the original April O'Neil. But you know, he actually started digging into some of the costumes that kind of disappeared along the years and started tracking them down. One thing that I want to talk about that we kind of touched on a little bit, but while watching the movie, I always wondered why April O'Neil never drew Michelangelo. She sketched Donatello, she sketched Leonardo, but she never sketched Michelangelo. I never understood why. But yes, it is in there, and this is, you know, just the whole story arc of Michelangelo. But the funny thing is that there is a concept art or drawing that kind of popped up on eBay somewhere, where it was the original drawing that was in the movie that was cut out, and that was a Michelangelo drawing, and it's going for like $900 or something like that. It was like crazy,
ridiculous.
But you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, over the years, this movie's drawn a lot of attention, a lot of mystique, and the fan base is just huge.
The guy, going back to what you're saying about the score, Timmy did a little research. It's by John Duprez, the score. He worked a lot with Monty Python. So he scored all those Monty Python movies. He actually scored the movie A Fish Called Wanda.
You know what? It actually sounds like a lot of the Fish Called Wanda, like guitar work.
Yeah. So that's the guy who did the score for Ninja Turtles. John
Good movie,
Duprez.
underrated, underappreciated.
Fish
movie.
Called Wanda is pretty good. Kevin Kline? Is that Kevin Kline? Yeah. And Carrie Fisher, isn't it?
Yeah. I know Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but for a short period of time, that was my freaking wake up.
Yeah.
Why not? You know when it's very Super Mario
pumped up,
sounding.
man.
Yeah, it's very video game-ish. Yeah.
Gets it pumped up.
But it's still to this day, I'll ask you guys, because same age group, especially like JD Caps. I'm not sure if how close me and you are in age or anything like that.
You're old.
But like,
get over it.
Okay, whatever. Okay, anyway, my point is, I remember when I was a kid.
Go watch our AEW review, and I reveal my age.
Yeah, right. But going into it, I remember distinctly how excited I got was when Leonardo comes, especially when Leonardo was the first one, when he comes around that corner in the sewer pipe and they pop up the actual Ninja Turtles logo with the text that was from the cartoon.
When they're skateboarding.
Yeah, well, no, they weren't skateboarding. They just walked in. They were all doing the awesome.
You're like Pierre.
Well, you're thinking of the second movie where they jump up.
In the first movie they're like
Bossa Nova.
In the first movie, they're like Big Apple. 10 a.m.
And by the way,
and nobody pays full price for a late pizza.
Nobody pays full price for a late pizza.
And
Confucius say.
No, fake forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Anyway, whatever, bro.
And how much did he pay? It was like, what, $10?
Oh, he paid $10 for the tab was 13. He goes, this is a 10. The tab's 13. He's like, you're 2 minutes late, dude. Oh, man, I couldn't find the place.
And listen to this. Domino's invented the 30 minutes or it's free thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's who they ordered the pizza from.
Yep. But
now a Domino's pizza goes for $29.
Yeah,
I know. It's so crazy how it is. It's how crazy it is. But I lost track what I was going to say, but yeah, I'm sure you're happy about that one and everything. But yeah, like I said, that title sequence when that popped up and everything, my heart raced, and that was the other thing I thought was so cool. You actually hear Raphael say "damn" in this movie 5 times.
Damn!
And it was so cool as a kid to see the Ninja Turtles cussing. Like that to us, it's not really a big deal. Damn is not a big word nowadays, but back then you were like, oh, did he just say damn? And like every single time he did, I thought it was great.
It's like that scene from the Transformers movie where Spike goes, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do now?"
Exactly. This guy gets it.
You guys talked about Domino's, but dude, we cannot. We have to talk about the Pizza Hut commercial.
Pizza Hut tie-in?
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, who here knows the song word for word? I mean.
I don't even know what you're talking about because I wasn't even.
No, he's talking about the commercial song. I can't remember it now because I didn't see it that much or anything like that. But you're talking about the one that was in the beginning of the movie that actually shows the little trailer. Oh,
you're talking about in the movie. I thought you were talking about an actual.
No.
So in the VHS, they would show a trailer.
Yeah, at the beginning of the VHS. Yeah,
before the movie starts. Yeah, exactly. I know.
Which is weird because the movie explicitly gives you Domino's.
Yeah,
and then it's like a Pizza Hut commercial. It came with the thing. Wasn't there a coupon for Pizza Hut in the fucking VHS?
Yeah, $5.
And
$5 footlongs.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
At one point, Pizza Hut gave away
copies
of the DVD.
You have a coupon in there?
No, come on.
So I hate to say that, Caps. That might be a later copy because Caps, does it have the cuts? Does it have that cut grooves on the side?
Yeah, it does. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the second one. The original one didn't have the cut grooves on the side, so you know how it has the cut grooves and thing. The original just had the flat.
Why don't you tell us about cut grooves some more? What about crush
groove? So you literally had to break my heart telling me that I got to.
You made him think he was about to get a discount on a pizza.
How many people have the FHE?
Yeah, they were all the original ones were all put up at FHE. Yeah, because I told you,
saying it.
I'm sorry. But like I told you, I wore out 3 copies. That's the reason why I knew that original one had because then I remember I used to slip it out the second one because I was like, I gotta be careful, Mom's gonna get mad and everything. But then I would shove it in excited and everything, and she's like I hate.
I'm literally about to get demonetized because Putty keeps saying FHE. Anyways, I just want everyone to know that this is a good movie.
Yes, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Yeah. No matter what age you are.
I think I got this. I don't want to say for sure, so I'm not going to go throw it out there. But I think I got the VHS for this from McDonald's.
Wow. Pizza Hut was giving it away.
Was it Pizza Hut?
It was definitely Pizza Hut because after
I got it from our restaurant. I'm pretty sure.
Then after that, at the 10th anniversary, they were giving away the DVD.
Yeah, and what you're thinking of, Campo, is Burger King gave out 4 cassettes of the original cartoon where you
No,
get
that's
like
not what it was. I bought Ninja Turtles at a restaurant.
Oh, okay. Well, no, but I'm saying that they were.
But that's not what I'm thinking about. So stop telling me what I'm thinking about.
My bad.
What a jerk!
Well,
Do you believe this guy?
This particular VHS that I got,
I bought Wayne's World
while I
at
was on
McDonald's.
vacation. While I was on vacation in Los Angeles, so
recently.
Wait, you got the McDonald's? You got the McDonald's ones?
The McDonald's? No, that's not McDonald's one. No.
Oh,
I don't remember.
He said he bought the FHE when he was in.
Yeah, it was a Christmas gift, so my dad bought it, but I don't know where he got it from. But I know it was in LA while we were vacationing in LA.
That's amazing,
guys. We could talk about this for like ever. This is one of my favorite films. My second film that I ever watched in a movie theater. But I just want to thank you guys for joining me on this one. I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts on this movie, anything you guys want to share, but yeah, just go ahead.
It is and always will be the best Ninja Turtle movie of all time, and it's going to be really hard for them to ever top it, and still to this day, I don't think they have.
It isn't and never will be the best Ninja Turtles movie of all time. It is his favorite movie of all time. The new movie is definitely a better movie than this movie, but this is still one of my favorite movies of all time.
Brings back lots of memories. I still pop it in every now and then to watch it because it's not on any streaming service.
But you can buy it digitally.
But
I already own it, so
yeah. But I'm just saying, if you don't want to buy it or rent it, it's not available to stream for free.
That is true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Paramount didn't dish out money to get the original trilogy on Paramount.
Yeah, because they got the new, like the Michael Bay films.
They own the
right?
rights to all of them. Everything Ninja Turtles is Paramount except those first 3 movies.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. To everyone that's watching, thank you very much for watching. Drop a like, subscribe, comment, share. Johnny Donuts, check his channel out. Puttyman, check his channel out. I mean, Campo's, we're on the same channel. RLG CAST. Thanks for watching.
And in the words of your new international champion, Kenny Omega,
goodbye and good night.